welcome back to the channel. Here for another lovely Wednesday craft video. About to say Monday, I'm getting my days all mixed up. But anyways, as you can tell by the picture in the thumbnail, I mean my hair, I don't know what my hair's doing today. But anyways, we are going to be doing a kind of a basic mesh wreath. I know we've been seeing these everywhere, you know, where you get all your supplies from the Dollar Tree because the Dollar Tree is selling all of this stuff. Yay. But what I figured I would do is show you my technique just for making like your base and then buying whatever you want to from a more expensive store and making it into a more, I wouldn't say better, but well, not more better, but I don't know, into a fancier, more unique wreath. But mainly I just wanted you to see how to get your base. So for mine, this is what it ended up being, and it's really big. There we go. Well, not really big, it's just really pointy. But it's kind of like the I think it's called the sunburst pattern is what I use, instead of just like where you make the big you know, the big bulges and stuff in it. It's more the sunburst pattern, and I have like my little witch's feet down here because I knew I wanted this color. I knew I wanted to use these pumpkins. I knew I wanted to use all this, but as far as like right here and here, I have no clue. So this is my base that is pretty much done, and then once I find that piece that I really want, then I can go in and add that in. And I left me plenty of room in the back of my wreath to be able to add whatever I want to it. So I'm going to show you how I put this together, and I'll meet y'all back at the end.
Alright, so here we are for our lovely Wednesday craft video, and we're going to make it a little spooky today. We're going to be making a nice and simple wreath. So what you're going to need is all of your supplies. You're going to need a wire wreath backing. I got this from the Dollar Tree. It was amazing. They started putting these out, so that helps out a lot. You're also going to need whatever color mesh you want to use. I'm using purple and black just because that seems to be my colors for the season. I also found some purple and black ribbon. They had two different kinds at the Dollar Tree, so I was like, yes, I'm bringing this home with me. You're going to need any of the little decorative pieces, so I picked up this pack of pumpkins for only $8. I can't believe that because some places will charge so much more for that. You're also going to need your little tinsel, your tinsel stems. Think of what they were for a minute. And you're going to need some kind of garland or ribbon or other little decorative bits and bobs. I'm using this black and purple that I got from the Dollar Tree with bats on it. And then I'm just adding these little witch feet just for an extra effect because I've never actually done like a witch's wreath before, so I figured I'd try that. Then you'll also need your wire cutters and your scissors. Okay, to get started with your wreath, you want to use your tinsel stems first. Now what I like to do with mine, which I'm fixing to show you, is I just grab a couple out of the pack, and then I go ahead and I start zigzagging them between the two middle sections of the wreath. So I just wrap the end of the tinsel stem around one of like the middle sections, you know, where the wire crosses over all the other four sections, and then I like to zigzag that. I found this when I started making wreaths about a couple years ago. I found this in somebody's blog. I can't even remember whose it was, in somebody's online blog, and I've been doing it ever since because it does help you add a bit. It helps you add just a little bit more ease to making your wreaths, and it also lets you put stuff like directly in the middle of your wreath, so it can give you a more fuller look. Okay, so as you can see, once you get all that nice and done, it gives you a bit more space to work with in your wreath. So like I said, so you can add more. And you might be thinking it's not sturdy, but it actually ends up being pretty sturdy whenever you wrap it like that. So now we can move on to go ahead and add your witch's feet. I know some people do this afterwards. I like to do it beforehand just because, one, I know I can get it more secure, and two, I don't like to have to fight with my mesh after I get done making my wreath. So all I'm going to do is take two of my little tinsel stems, and then we're just going to wrap them around the existing hoop of the little witch's feet. You know, I think you're supposed to hang them on the door or something, but For this purpose, we're going to be using them for the bottom of our wreath, and it's also going to give us like a nice spot to know where we need to put the little hanger at the top as well. Because sometimes you'll be making a wreath and you can't figure out what side or what spot you really want to hang it. So this helps with that as well, so you know exactly where to fill it around. But just go ahead and wrap that a couple times. Wrap the stem a couple times around the plastic hoop of the witch's feet. Okay, now once you have that done, what I like to do is go in the middle section right there that I'm showing you, where it's got that bar that's in the middle of all of the other like longer bars, so you know it helps hold the wreath together. And I like to go in the middle of that and put each of my 2 tinsel strands on either side, if you can't tell. And I just like to wrap that because for me that lets it not move around. I know some people they'll put it anywhere. Just for me, for how I like to do it, I just like to stick it in that section just so my feet don't really move around, and for me I think it gets more secure on there. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our mesh, and I'm just going to take and mesh and ribbon and all that. So we're going to move on to like the main meat of our wreath. So just go ahead and unwrap everything. Okay, so what I like to do with mine is I measure roughly about 10 to 12 inches, and I'll go ahead, since I'm doing a smaller wreath, and I'll go ahead and cut that. Now you don't have to cut it to make it look pretty or anything, and then I'll just go ahead and in that same section I'll fold it and I'll kind of find the middle, which normally ends up being about 6 inches, and then I'll just cut that again. And then once you have it cut, you're supposed to let it, you know, kind of roll onto itself. I did not do that, so forgive me for this. But and then you're going to layer it. So what you also want to do too is go ahead and cut, if you want to add any of your ribbon into that or any of your tinsel, which is what I'm doing. I'm cutting the ribbon and I'm cutting the tinsel to make a nice layer for that, because we want to start building the volume. So that is what we're doing here. So just go ahead and let that happen. Plus too, I wanted to add like a bunch of different kind of dimensions and textures to my wreath. So I kind of started doing it in different ways just to build what I wanted my wreath to look like. So because I'm not doing the standard I can't remember what it's called now, but I'm not doing just like the standard where you got like the big bumps in it. So I'm doing a different method for it, like just because I don't have any wreaths like that, so I wanted to make one. Plus, you know, I'm doing it with your wreath, so she's got to be the oddball out. But just go ahead and take your tinsel once you have your little section where you want it. Just take your tinsel right in the middle and just wrap it around. What I like to do is kind of cut it evenly, fold my little section down, and then twist it a few times to make it nice and secure. So it makes this a nice little bundle there. And then later on, obviously, we're going to go back in and flip it out. And then once you have that section done, you can either make them all first and then attach them to your wreath, or you can make them one by one and put them on your wreath. It's just kind of up to you. And for me, I kind of change my methods as I make my wreaths. So it just kind of depends on, one, how fast I want to get done, and two, how much of the material I actually have. So just go ahead and attach that section to your wreath. Okay, so since I got that section on my wreath, all I'm going to do is just sit here and make a bunch more using the same method, just layer each of the mesh and the ribbon and the tinsel until I build up the base of my black and purple wreath. Okay, so we are done with the base part of our wreath. So I've got all of my black and purple ribbon and tinsel and my mesh and everything on there, and it makes it look pretty full because I thought I was going to run out of material. So I'm glad that, you know, one, I was working on a smaller wreath, and two, I use that method with the inside because I don't have to worry about like doing the outside and really the middle part of that wreath, and it still makes it look full. So now we're going to add our other little decoration, which is our pumpkins. Now these pumpkins are on like a little stem, so we are going to use our little tinsel stem again. These are going to be used throughout making this wreath if anybody knows from making their own. But so we're just going to take one of those. We're going to figure out where we want him in our wreath and just kind of poke him through a little bit. Okay, and then once you figure out where you want them, you want to flip over to the back and use your little tinsel stem, and you want to secure him to your wreath. Now you can either secure him to the wreath or you can secure him to the middle section that we made with the other tinsel. Just wrap your tinsel stem around your pumpkin stem a couple of times just to make sure that it's nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. Now, I know some people will use glue and stuff, but the way that my front porch door is set up, I can't use any kind of glue for any of my wreath projects, so I have to do it this way, and I found that it works just fine. So just go ahead and twist that on there and just keep wrapping it and make sure it's all nice, tight, and secure. Alright, and as you see, you can't even really see the stem on your pumpkin, so we're just going to do the other 4 of those, and I'll meet y'all back once we get done. Alright dear, so once we have all our pumpkins attached, we are pretty much done with the base structure of our wreath. So from there, you can build anything or put anything else that you want on it. But that's why I left the middle section open, so I can go back in and add more at a later date, because this is pretty much how I wanted my base to look. So I have to figure out what else I want to do to it. But I figured I'd show you the process, that way you can just have a good understanding of how to do the base of a wreath and then build from there.
Okay, so hopefully y'all got a few little hints and tricks out of that. Now, it did take me, I think, maybe about an hour, 2 hours to put this together, because as I started doing it, I was doing them individually, but then as I kept working on it, I just started making the bundles, and then I attached them at the end. So I kind of mixed up how I was doing things. But so this gives me a very good base. Now you could too, if you don't have a door like I have, because I have my door and then I have a screen door on the front of my house. I live in South Carolina. It is still currently in the 90s, and then in that door, I think we measured, like we did the temperature one day, and it makes it like 120, 130 degrees sometimes. So anything I have with hot glue just melts. So I can't use hot glue, so I have to find other methods to do that. And I've tried different kinds of glue, and just again with the heat, it just won't stay. So I have to figure out different ways to attach my stuff without using any kind of glue, which I've done it. It makes it a little bit more difficult. But so yes, that's how I got my pumpkins attached, and they're pretty secure on there, honestly, because of the method that I use. I wrap it around the stem, and then I wrap it around the wreath, and then any excess I wrap it around the wreath and the stem again, just to give that extra security on it. So yes, that is how I put that together, and it's all nice and sparkly. Plus, I didn't want to just, loop the garland around it like I've done in the past and like some other people have done. I wanted to actually have it like in the wreath, so it's sticking up, and it gives it a bit more play, honestly. But I think it turned out pretty cute. Like I said, I still got more work that I want to do to it, but I wanted to give y'all the basic idea of how I put mine together and how I put most of mine together. Even my bigger wreaths, I'll use the same like backing technique because it gives you more space to work with. And if you don't have that much material, then you can actually use the middle section of your wreath instead of having to work on the outside only, because I've done that too, where you only had to work on the outside of your wreath, and I'm like, I need in the middle, I need something in the middle. So I found that, and it's been, God, I think it's been like a year or so since I found that blog, and it's getting attached to my fabric I have over here. But it's been like a year or so since I found that blog where that lady showed us that technique. So otherwise I would tell y'all who it was, but I don't know. I don't remember. I'm sorry. So originally not my idea, just throwing that out there that I did use this. Like I got the inspiration from somebody else to do that. But yeah, other than that, I put this together myself, as you saw. But yeah, so I think this ended up being around $11 is how much this cost me. And you know, you'll see wreaths like this in the store that are upwards of $20, $30, $40. And if you go to AC Moore's, some of theirs are like is $60, $70, $100 for something about like this. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'll figure it out myself. Because that's originally why I started doing wreaths. I wanted to do it myself because of the prices. I'm like, it cannot cost that much. So let me stop rambling on. But yes, so I hope y'all enjoyed that, and hope y'all found at least a little bit useful and a little bit informative. Like I said, I know this has been overdone so many times, but I needed to make me a new wreath, so I figured I'd show you. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments if you have any more tips that you'd like to add, or if you've made your own. I'd love to see it, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thank y'all so much for watching, guys. Bye.